Hello and welcome to Deck-Celsior. This is Ben, and I am starting a new series on our YouTube channel, hopefully. It's my heroic challenge where I'm going to be playing through every single scenario in the game at the moment with the same deck on Heroic 1 difficulty. So I'm going to explain a little bit of my thought process about the deck, and then I'm going to probably do a separate video with the first game. So this deck, I built it around Captain Marvel. And that is first of all, she's my favorite hero in the game. Her commander action is really, really freaking good. 6 hand size, and she can draw an extra card. And she can also heal and draw on the other side, as well as having fairly well-rounded stats. So her hero card is amazing. And her signature set is less good, but it's still very, very good. You have your Spider Woman. And the real powerhouse is energy absorption, which is just 3 energy resources. So this card allows you to do some pretty broken stuff, especially early on in the game. And it really gives you a kickstart and tempo in heroic mode. So that's why I picked her. And the other thing I had to pick was an aspect, and so I picked leadership, which I think is pretty undeniably the strongest aspect in the game at the moment. Maybe you could debate justice, but I think leadership, especially in solo, is very, very strong. So the most important part of any leadership deck is your allies that I picked, and I picked these 6 allies. We have Hawkeye, Maria Hill, and Squirrel Girl. These are mainly your chump blockers because the villain is going to be attacking you probably at least once a turn and oftentimes more. You want a lot of allies that you can just throw in front of those attacks to help preserve your life. So she does have 12 HP and the ability to heal herself. So she can take 1 or 2 big hits, but after that, you really want to defend with allies. So that's why I have these. That's the primary reason for these allies. Maria Hill is also she's on the short list for most powerful card in the game, I think. Definitely non-hero specific card. I think she's probably the strongest. She has 2 thwart and draws you a card when she comes into play. So she's not as busted in solo as she's in like in 3 or 4 player. But essentially you pay 2 cards plus her to draw another card. It's really, really solid. It doesn't cost you very much. Good thwarting helps handle some schemes that could pop out. 2 extra thwarts, basically all you need in solo to handle most schemes. Hawkeye is there just because she's a 2-cost ally. Her ability is useful, especially to deal with like tough, or if you happen to have extra resources in your hand that you can't spend. But yeah, mostly she's just there because she's a cheap chump blocker. Squirrel Girl is there as a cheap chump blocker, but she's also our plan against Ultron, or at least a big contributor. So Squirrel Girl and Hawkeye are really good against minion-heavy scenarios, and there are a couple in the game that'll really just swarm you. And yeah, so she's really good. Hawkeye has very good against minions, which is one of Captain Marvel's biggest weaknesses. She has some big attacks, but she's not really good at handling 2 and 3 health enemies, and Hawkeye helps out a lot with that. Then we have Black Knight, just because I wanted another ally in the deck. That's really it. His piercing ability could be relevant, but usually isn't, but he's still got good stats for the cost. And then we have Falcon, who's the most expensive ally. Other than Nick Fury, but he doesn't really count. Falcon is the one expensive ally I wanted because I wanted to play an ally recursion style. And Falcon fits in with that better than any of the other 4 or 5 cost allies in the game right now. So he gives you a little extra information and can remove some extra threat. So he's, decent and really good with rapid response. Neutral allies, we have Mockingbird and Nick Fury. These are just mainly protect you from attacks while also doing little bits of thwart or damage as needed. These are pretty staple cards that you'll see in most decks, so not much to talk about there. Then the other leadership cards I have Rapid Response, 3 Rapid Response, and 3 Make the Calls. These are there to reuse your allies. Rapid Response isn't great at the cheap allies, but it can be good with, it's pretty decent with Maria Hill, can be decent with Squirrel Girl, can be decent with Hawkeye, is very good with Falcon. So, 3 might be one too many, but I like having the option to just play this down whenever I get the extra resources. And Make the Call is there as a wild. Really, the best thing this can do is reuse Spire Woman to confuse the villain. Spire Woman is huge in this deck because it allows you to flip back to Alter Ego and be pretty safe when doing that. Normally in solo, you don't want to flip to Alter Ego, but if you confuse the villain first, it really lets you flip back, and that's really powerful because it lets you get a lot more cards, which is something that you really, really need to beat Expert or Heroic. Down here, I'll talk about Triskelion first. Basically, in the late game, sometimes you have more allies than you can play, so Triskelion helps you play another ally. It also has an energy resource, which is very important for Captain Marvel. This deck's biggest weakness is it doesn't have a ton of energy resources. So, yeah, that's usually in the first couple turns, I'll just use this as a resource and play it out later on if I get the opportunity to build a big board. And then down here are our resource/economy cards. Power of Leadership is great because it basically works on a third of the deck almost. 12 cards, so slightly more than a fourth of the deck. It works on all the allies, works on Rapid Response, and works if you make the call back a leadership ally. So probably about, fourth of the deck. It's really good. Also, if you can't do that, it's got a wild resource, which is important because that can be an energy. I'm running one of each of the energy strength genius. I think that's pretty standard. It's a rare deck that doesn't want one of each of these. I'm not saying it's impossible, but most decks want them, and this deck definitely does. It can definitely use resources, especially early on. And then we have our supports. 2 Helicarrier, 1 Quinn Carrier, and 2 Avengers Mansion. The reason I'm running 2 Avengers Mansion and 2 Helicarrier is because I want to play at least one of these cards on turn 1 basically every game. It's a pretty huge difference getting these out early and getting them out on turn 1, getting them out in turn 4. So adding an extra card just makes it that much more consistent. Once I have one of each of these out, I don't have any resource troubles for the rest of the game. So it's really solid. I can do some pretty busted stuff. Quinn Carrier, again, provides a wild, which is super important for Captain Marvel. And so, yeah, it's just great. And also, the reason Captain Marvel is great is because she can pay for these with her energy absorptions. So 1 energy absorption is pays for Quinn Carrier or Helicarrier. And basically energy absorption and any other card pays for Avengers Mansion. So the ideal first turn is energy absorption and 1 of these cards. Or the actual ideal is 2 energy absorptions, 2 of these cards, and some cheap ally. So yeah, that's going to be it. I'm going to play against Rhino in just a second. And yeah, so thanks for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it. Please like and subscribe for more. Thanks.